Does that tell you anything about today? It's my little personal fan. Hear it? Clips on your belt for your back. My wife bought it for me because I'm sweaty all the time. So it's like 93 degrees today with a 75-degree dew point. And we decided we're gonna replace an AC compressor in my friend's car for him. But anyway, on a good note, we're at Danner's Automotive. He's got a new sign. So that's where we are, and hopefully he's got some garage space for us. I don't think he does, man. We're gonna be out here working. Again, I'm doing this for a friend, right? And we're doing it right. We're at my brother's shop so we can recover this refrigerant, change this compressor, and show you guys this is like 2 hours of hell for 3 minutes of footage for you guys. But whatever, hey, that's what we do. How do I turn this up? Where's the button? Yeah, oh dude, it's awesome.
An ass cooler?
it's a back cooler. So he lost the belt. I got a battery light on, I can't turn the wheel. He lost the belt on the drive here, which is really unfortunate because we don't have a belt. Well, no, he lost the serpentine belt on the drive over here. He's only like a few miles away, and he shredded it. Yeah.
Why did the compressor lock up?
Well, so the bearing was real bad, and I told him, I said I thought it'd be okay to drive it here, and he shredded the belt. There's the belt.
Nice. He didn't say that.
No, he didn't know that. Fortunately, he's really close because that drives the water pump too.
Yeah.
He's only like 2 miles away. I wonder when that belt shredded. It was nice and quiet when I started up. No more noise. So we're hooking up for the recovery machine. Can we show on this, Danner, when we're done? Because I know people have this question all the time for me, which is how much oil comes out on a recovery. And it's next to nothing. Like anytime I've checked the oil amount coming out with this machine.
See, okay, so you can, but if I didn't drain that the last 2 cycles, then you're going to get everybody's oil, because sometimes I forget to do that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you just
can we do the oil drain first before we start?
It usually does it after the recovery I think I could take this is the oil drain here, and that's like any air that's coming out or any oil that's coming out.
So you got some in that bottle right now too.
I'll drain it.
So just a few drops.
So we're.
And that wasn't
this is just,
drained in.
No, this is like other people's crap.
This is many different recoveries.
Yeah. So there's 3 ounces in there right now.
3 ounces in there right now? Okay. So this is before we pull it out.
Yeah.
And this is just to address the question for you guys of how much oil comes out on a recovery, and it's not much at all.
Yeah, usually I end up going to look, we'll do this later, and I'll look at the system charge, and then whatever, if their compressor does turn, and you can spin it, you can measure what comes out of it, and then you can look at what the system oil capacity is.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Then the compressor you bought, like the one I got yesterday, had nothing in there. And then other ones say, hey, I got 4 ounces of, PAG oil or whatever, and then you just do your calculations the best you can. You don't want to over oil charge because then your cooling efficiency is terrible.
Sure.
And then under, you're wiping it out.
And I've seen them come with 8 ounces of oil in a new compressor. So what he's talking about is how much oil is in the new compressor is very important, because the procedure on compressor replacement, which is what we're doing, is to turn the compressor sideways, turn it, and measure how much oil comes out of the old compressor, which is generally nothing.
Anyway, so yeah, you got your high and low fitting.
Yep.
I opened the valves on the tank because I'm going to recover. You can see that there's actually 100-some pounds of pressure in the system, so there is.
Right, it was just a clutch bearing failure.
Yeah, so he didn't lose much. So then, so you just turn it on.
The spec on this is 17 ounces, so we'll see what we pull out.
17, like 1.12 or something like that. So yeah, then you just open these 2, which is just opening everything that's going in there, and I hit the recover button. What? I don't know what that means. I don't know, but we're just going to bypass that. Here, wait, no, we could tell. It's probably telling me something's ready to blow up. See, I have the manual.
So you looking up what CHF
yeah, I'm going to look up what CHF means.
So this is
probably like check filter. I probably haven't changed my filter in a while.
Yeah, so 17 ounces would be what? 1 point what?
It's usually about 1.12 or something like that.
See the gauge down going into a vacuum now. Like the system's pretty much
look,
pretty much
1.13.
What's 0.13 of a pound.
Okay, so if you hit calculator, oh, not
That's
calendar.
your calendar. Not even the
You
right
hit calculator.
app. Yeah.
And then you do 17 divided by 16, which is 1 pound. 1.06 is what this system holds.
Okay. And we had 1.13.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was absolutely full. If anything, a little slightly over.
So then now it's time to do the oil, right? So this completed.
Oh, yeah, oil. Come here, Caleb.
So there wasn't much.
We had 3 ounces in there before.
Yeah.
And it's still at 3. So,
Okay,
like,
so
basically, I know we didn't show this, Caleb, but can you see the numbers on the front of that? Here, you hold that level.
So you got that foam. You got like, what's above 3 now? It was definitely like a hair below.
The point is,
3.
it's less than an ounce.
Yeah.
It's
so
like nothing.
We got maybe a half ounce if you're lucky, if all those bubbles.
It's like nothing. And then the standard, I thought, for compressor replacement was generally drain the. So just so everyone's clear, the oil's still sitting throughout the whole system. When you change components in an AC system, you're adding oil based on the components you change. So condenser might have 2 ounces, evaporator might have 2 ounces. Compressor was always, I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, drain the oil, measure it, that comes out, plus 1 ounce was the standard that we would follow for a compressor replacement.
Yeah, I mean, that would make kind of sense. But anyway, but when we do the recovery, it'll go into a vacuum, but then it still kind of zeroes out, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I'll usually do like a 2 or 3 minute vacuum.
Yeah.
And I don't change my filter. It automatically does 15, but I'm just gonna pull it under a little bit of a vacuum so when you take the lines off, it don't go poof, you know what I mean? Because sometimes just heat, it'll build up a little bit of pressure.
And you have refrigerant maybe trapped in the oil in the system.
There's always that chance
bleeding.
to get a little bit. You know, I've had a body shop come over with a brand new condenser from a wreck, and so the system was like empty. Yeah. And I'll still pull out 1/10 of a pound. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, it can definitely settle in the low points. So I feel like let me just run the emissions, go on to Mitchell and just look at your oil thing while we're doing this. Okay. I'm just pulling this under I already did 2 minutes. We're down at 30. So I'm done with that for now. We'll do a nice deep vacuum once we replace it, but I just wanted to get it into a vacuum for you so you don't get sprayed.
All right, so refrigerant oil, we have type and we have amounts here. And you see that if you change the condenser, including the receiver dryer, you're at 1. Why would they do 1 2/3 fluid ounce? That's weird. Like the metric system's so much better. 50 milliliters, right? If you're doing the evaporator, it's 40 mil. Each line and hose is 10 mil each. The receiver dryer by itself is 10 mil. The compressor is 80 to 90 milliliters. So Danner, you were closer in what you were saying. This is 2 2/3 to 3 ounces for a compressor replacement.
Yeah, so that makes it kind of easy.
And that would be in addition to what you would drain out of it, or no? That's not. It's not telling us drain it, measure it, plus an ounce.
I mean, like if we by some chance pulled out like a whole bunch of oil, I might add a little bit more to the compressor. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But 3 ounces.
What you do is we
should be good with 3 ounces.
That's what it sounds like.
Like, don't even bother measuring what comes out. We can do that. We'll do it, but it looks like they're not even telling you to do that in this procedure. Right?
Yeah.
And you have oil in your machine that has dye in it already?
Yeah, I just opened a valve.
What kind of oil is in that? Because everybody's going to ask these questions. Because the specific kind of oil...
Yeah, I use the PAG
46
with UV dye.
And is that pretty... Does that cover a big range for you? Because I know that each one, the number, sorry Caleb, I'm moving around, I'm getting my light. That 46 number is viscosity.
It says meets OEM specs.
Which OEM though?
I don't know.
So
all of them.
This is saying that this should be a Honda genuine synthetic PAG specifically designed for this compressor. I know some of you are already hating on this compressor. Just remember that this is a young kid that owns this car, and his father's trying to save him money. It's my friend, and he just, that's what he shopped for, and he liked the price of it. So, that's where we're at. I just want to see what this compressor says as far as the type of oil that they want. So these are your warranty requirements. These would be for failed compressors, right? And I mentioned this in his driveway. Replace the orifice tube or expansion valve, replace the accumulator receiver dryer, and then the correct type of oil, and then refrigerant. So I also mentioned sometimes you have a compressor that fails internally. It pumps its guts in the system, and you also have to replace the condenser. This is what we're changing. I pulled this apart to just see if they had. They got some O-rings for us too, to see if they had an indicator of oil and type. So we do have a sticker here. It says add oil here. Compressors pre-charged with 3 ounces of oil. You must add recommended amount and type. Scan QR code for application specific oil type and charge. This compressor comes with 3 ounces of oil.
Nice.
Except
so you don't have to do anything.
Except it says must add recommended amount and type. You would think they'd put the type of oil in here that would be compatible with this compressor. Why would it say type?
I'm gonna scan the QR code.
You know, a lot of the stuff that we're doing here is like we're going above and beyond because we're
if
like
no one was watching,
training.
we just throw an in.
We're gonna scan this QR code. I gotta get my phone. So it's a PDF 0809 all except hybrid 134A PAG 46. Total capacity is 5.5 ounces. That still doesn't answer for us what the generic oil is that they put in that compressor. It just says on the tag use amount and type. So, you know, what did they put in it? Literally every single one of these until you go back to the hybrid or the in the 90s. The 90s, you're talking mineral oil, like 93 and back, but it's not going to be the same compressor. I really feel like we should drain that oil out of there, get it out, and know that we're putting the correct oil in. That's how we're going to do it, because I don't know what's in there. So, shameless plug, shameless Amazon plug. We have an Amazon affiliate. Everyone needs one of these. I just discovered something else about this. So as I'm having this
the other way down your page.
Well, you could do that too. It's okay. I didn't think about that. Let's go. Let's go. It's no more swamp. Okay, that wasn't what I wanted to show you, but thank you for that. So as I'm walking around, my shirt keeps getting pulled in on the bottom, so it's restricting the flow. That top, I could stick my shirt like that.
Clip it, yeah. Nice.
Everyone needs one. This is actually just a special thanks to my wife, because she's been asking me about it. Have you used it? Have you used it? I'm like, no, it's too bulky. I can't like sit down with it, you know? But like in a shop environment, when you're working in this kind of heat, like where has this been all of my life? So I'm gonna call my friend real quick. I need to find out how long he drove it with the broken belt, because I believe the water pump is driven off of this. Hey man, how long did you drive this with a broken serpentine belt?
Really?
Yeah, so it sheared the belt on the way here. I was afraid.
Oh yeah.
I was afraid that might happen. I thought you'd be okay. You're only like 2 miles away. Did you drive or did your son drive it?
I did, and everything seemed normal
until the battery light came on, like, and your steering got tight.
No, I didn't even see that. None of that happened.
Really?
Really? I wonder if it just melted up and burned after I parked it. It was smoking pretty good.
It was smoking pretty good?
Yeah, when I got there, it was smoking.
That's really funny. So
yeah,
that's surprising.
But nothing happened with the battery light.
That's crazy.
I mean,
you should
it just kept running.
You should
no
see
problem.
as soon as I started it, man. You should see this belt. It's like completely sheared. So I got to get a serpentine belt for it. You're gonna owe my brother for that. I'm having him order one. So we're working on it now.
No problem.
Okay. So the fact that it was smoking for him, that pulley probably locked up completely, and then as it sat, and then the belt was sitting on the locked up pulley with a ton of friction, it probably just melted the belt the rest of the way. And then when I cranked it up, that was it. That was all she wrote. So that's good. That means he didn't overheat the engine driving it here. That's why I called. All right, going underneath. I'm gonna pull this cover off so we can see better in here. So I need just a pocket screwdriver, pretty much. You guys might be wondering about my glasses. They have readers in them.
Nobody was wondering.
Okay.
I just like the things that you think people might be wondering about.
Just like
Nobody thought about it until you said that.
full disclosure on these products. From Amazon, I might make like $250 a month. So we don't push products on this page. Some of you guys are in here that don't know me and are like, oh, he's doing pushing products. No, man, it's not our business model. But if I find something that I like, I'm gonna share it with you guys, and I might as well make a few bucks off of it too. No, got too aggressive with my I like, yeah, that sucks. Oh, now the whole thing's spinning. That's why you don't live in the Rust Belt. This is a prime example of why you add labor time when you live in the Rust Belt. This is the exact reason right here. You mean you broke a piece of plastic on my car and you're charging me more? Answer, yes. So that's the piece that I ripped the plastic. That was my fault. I got a little bit too aggressive with it, but yeah, it'll be all right. There's enough other stuff holding it in. Hey, there's our compressor. There's the rest of our belt all wrapped around the pulley. Oh, it is melted on here. Look at this part. That's exactly what happened. Exactly like Aaron described. So you see where the belt is melted on that pulley. By the way, you see the wobble in that? Right call for sure from the driveway using a screwdriver, right? And then visually. But that's exactly what happened. He shut the car off and that pulley was so hot whenever he got here from friction that it melted the belt. And when I started it, that's when the belt sheared. This is a good example of like, sometimes we as mechanics, we'll tend to say, oh, that customer's full of shit. We say that so much because many customers lie. And so we tend as mechanics to get into that bad frame of mind, like, oh, that customer's full of it. In this case, there's no way that I would, as a tech, would say that battery light was not on for this guy, right? That battery light had to be on. You guys didn't see that when I pulled it in. Battery light's on, steering's real stiff. Can't turn the steering at all. Why? Because the belt's sheared. So to me, that customer drove it here that way. And this is my friend. He said no. It was smoking for him. We know it was why it was smoking, friction. And that got so hot, he shut it off, and that's when the belt melted the whole way on that one spot. You see the belt still stuck on there. And pretty interesting scenario that the belt wasn't sheared until I started it, and that was immediate. The belt was, in fact, the belt probably was broken just from it melting it. And I started it, and that was it. I don't know, just a life lesson, right? Maybe we might need to give people a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. And the other thing too is between service manager, service writer, customer, and then technician and service writer, there's communication gaps. Sometimes it's good to get on the phone with a customer yourself as a tech. I used to do that all the time when it came to diagnostic stuff, especially diagnostic stuff. But this is one where this car was not overheated, which makes me feel a lot better. And the customer was not lying that the belt was not sheared when he dropped it off. It wasn't. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. All right, back up here. Check out the pulley. This side-to-side wobble should not be there. That is a failed compressor clutch bearing. The fact that I can spin the front face of this compressor, no problem at all, again, tells me that this system is fine. The compressor did not destroy itself inside. And all of the other stuff and precautions about changing other parts do not apply here. This just needs a clutch, and we're changing the whole compressor. Price difference isn't much. We typically don't just do the clutches. Like my brother said, sometimes they don't come apart. You run into issues, and you're just better off replacing the whole compressor. So that's the way that that's getting done. And again, we already have this system drained. High pressure line. You could get a rubber plug and plug this so we don't get additional moisture in the system. You don't need to do that, man. Just pull it under a vacuum when you're done. It is a very humid day, but that's why they make vacuum pumps. So for whatever reason, I'm missing a 12 millimeter socket. I have an 11 and then it goes to 1/2 inch on my rack. Like, what is that? What is that doing there? That's gonna break.
Jeez. I'm glad you're doing this job.
That's gonna snap. I had a crack with it. It's gonna snap. Let me get some more PB on there.
I got torches. We could try heating it, but I've done this before because the back of that bolt actually is exposed to atmosphere.
Yes. Just that one?
Just that one. Yeah, that's not gonna be fun. All right, let's get some torches.
Nice. That one's good. That one's good. No, sweet. That's awesome. One more, baby. One more. Let's go. Oh, yeah. It's the one. This is the part where Danner's like, some of these you got to drop the subframe. Let's hope we're not about to find that out. So you'd have to take these bolts out, lower the subframe to get the compressor out of its hole. I just got to be careful of the starter motor. Okay, we're good on that front. And then this transmission cooler line, I don't want to stress it. So just got to be a little bit careful there. Awesome. Nice. All right, bench shot of a destroyed pulley, right? That should not walk like that. Okay, and that's the clutch bearing. So independent bearing, this bearing right here, listen to it. And then this is the inside. So when the clutch activates electrically, it locks this to this pulley and then the belt drives both. AC off, it just spins this. And that's what went bad. And what we're gonna do, because we don't know the refrigerant type, and as per instructions, we're gonna drain this out of here. I mean, I doubt that's mineral oil, just given that that was used in R12 systems, but the list for Honda showed mineral oil for the 90s. Yeah, this compressor would not have even probably been used then. Okay, suction discharge. I'm gonna put this in the discharge side. So I gotta look at my plumbing to make sure. So my plumbing, this one comes from that way. So that'd be your evap. This is your inlet. This is your suction line. This is your discharge line. I know that because this goes from here. This is up my compressor line, goes this way toward the condenser. So this is discharge. So I want to put my oil in my discharge side. It doesn't really matter. This was covering this, and it says add oil here. So the reason they have that, the reason we don't want to put it in the suction side is you can't compress a liquid. We want this compressor to spin and blow all the oil into the system. Then it'll circulate through the system and back in small amounts, not this large amount. And so what I want to do is I want to put it in the discharge side of the compressor, which is this one, but I can't because there's a 90-degree turn right here. So they put a bolt, they put this on top for that reason. So then you pop this off, and this is where we'll put the oil in. So the discharge side of the compressor. We could have put it in there too, and then you just turn the compressor multiple times, but this is our discharge side. We're putting refrigerant oil that has dye in it for the future. This is our PAG 46. No, stop. Went a little too fast, and I just dumped some out. Should have kept my plug in there right now. That's why there was a plug there. Good thing they gave us a tolerance of like 2.5 to 3 ounces, because now it's going to be 2.5. Okay, there's an O-ring on that. Okay. Always replace O-rings whenever you separate lines. They get old, dry rotted, brittle. I mean, this one's not bad. Remember Jake's car when we did his? It was just an O-ring leak. Oh yeah, his was like completely flat. Yeah. Sorry, I know you can't really see what I'm doing. I'm just changing both O-rings. Now we can put the compressor in. So this part, here's the plug I put in so the rest of the oil didn't come out. When I was adding it, a little bit might come out here. It'll be okay if it does. Just a drop or two. This is my discharge line. And then what I'm gonna do, once I tighten this, I'm gonna turn the compressor to push any liquid oil out into this line, out of the compressor and into the line. I just got to figure out which way it turns. As far as making sure the system doesn't have any leaks, ideally, what I'd want to do before pulling this under a vacuum, because we all know that vacuum testing is not foolproof. You can have a system hold vacuum and not hold pressure. I'll put a link here in a video where we proved this concept on my son's Nissan. What I'm getting at is we're gonna kind of miss a little bit of protocol here, which is I would prefer to blow nitrogen back in this system. I did not bring my nitrogen tank with me. My brother does not have nitrogen. There's a few reasons I'm okay with that on this one. Number one, it was a completely sealed system when it came in. We didn't have any other issues. Number two is there's only 2 O-rings I have to worry about, the 2 that I replaced. So we should be good on that front. And the third variable would be the compressor itself. It's very possible you can get a crap part and then end up with a leak on the new component. So I prefer to re-pressure test it, but in our case, we will evac it, we'll recharge it, and we'll throw a electronic leak detector up on the components when we're done to make sure we have no leaks. That's really kind of the way that we're gonna handle this one today. And that's perfectly acceptable as well. New compressor installed. Now I gotta run the belt. Front face of the compressor is what I wanna rotate, guys, right? So I'm gonna grab this guy and I'm turning this. Now what I'm doing is any oil that's in the system, in the compressor, I'm kind of blowing it into this line, because you don't want to start this compressor with all that oil sitting inside of it and try to compress a liquid. You can ruin the compressor. Now that oil is sitting in here, and once I blow the refrigerant in, it'll run through the system and we'll be good to go. Okay, now the belt. This part, I'm just cleaning off any of the dye oil that I leaked out, so we don't get a false positive later, you know, if there's ever a leak in the system. Okay. All right, shot up here, serpentine belt is on. New serp belt, I'm gonna put the covers on. As far as the leak detection goes, when we're done, honestly, what should happen, I'm not doing it because time is a factor here for us. But what you should do is leave this cover off, pull the system under vacuum, blow your charge in, and then put your leak detector underneath here. We could wheel the machine over and do, you know what, we'll just do that. We don't have to do it over there. I don't know what I was thinking. We'll wait on the cover, and you and I have a little bit of time, half an hour probably. We have to pull the system under vacuum for that amount of time to boil off any moisture in the system. And we're using his machine to do it, to put our micron gauge in for just checking moisture level. It's not important, we're not doing it. Ask my brother if he uses a micron gauge. and ask him how many problems he has, how many comebacks he has with air conditioning. It's not the be-all, end-all tool like the internet makes it out to be. You mean you do air conditioning work without a micron gauge? Yep. For 30 freaking years.
Come on, man.
No. Your leg's old and you can't lift it as high.
That's what's happening. That's exactly what was happening. My knee was cracking.
Yep.
Doesn't help that the underwear I'm wearing are like really slippery, so my pants just fall down.
Open, evac.
Change filter.
Let's go. Pulling into a vacuum. We want to be down like to 29, and it should hold. And again, it's not the perfect leak test, right? We can have a system hold vacuum for days and still have a leak. I mentioned the micron gauge. I like the tool. I don't want to downplay it. We should use it, and here's why. I just have it rigged up to this system. I didn't have any other way to rig it up to his machine. I had a way, an extra valve in my truck, and I was able to just put it on here so I could monitor here. I may switch, go to the high side. I'm not sure yet. You see we're at 29.8 and holding. There's no vacuum going on, pull on the system. Vacuum pumps off. There are 25,400 microns in an inch of vacuum. 25,400. Same as that 2.54 millimeters in an inch. It's that same metric number, 25,400. And then if I switch this to the micron number, you see we're at you see we're at 990. I really want to be down around 500. When this vacuum pump shut off, we were it started to climb from about 750 to now 990. So I want to pull this under vacuum for a little bit longer. That's really kind of telling me we still have a little bit of moisture in the system, is the big advantage of the micron gauge, because the number's so small. It's such a small number. Like looking at your units here, you'd say, no problem, we're good to go. We're really not. Yeah, I just don't know if it'll pull from the high side or if it's only pulling from the low. I feel like it pulls from this. So I need to put, let's watch our microns here. We'll be able to tell. Okay, good. It is pulling from the high side. So I really want to be down to like 500. We're at 860 right now. You see we're dropping. So this tool is one that you can gauge moisture content still in the system. And so it's really, really humid today. And what my brother said about 10, 15 minutes, is not long enough. It really needed to be on a day like today, with that being open, probably at least a half an hour or so. I reset it for another 15 minutes, and we're gonna watch this gauge, and we'll keep you guys posted as it continues dropping. Once this gets down to about 500, then I'm gonna be happy, and then we'll shut the vacuum off and we'll watch it for a rise, and that'll give me my indication of moisture. If we don't get a rise, then we got all the moisture out of the system. That's the purpose of this micron gauge. I know I don't have it connected like typically you would connect one, but this was all I had to be able to show this tool to you guys today. And this is not the be-all, end-all for leaks. You cannot say, it held 500 microns for 3 days and there's definitely no leak. We have a example of this where it's exactly that. It held, we just to test the tool, we had it sitting over the weekend on my son's car, and it sat at 500 microns for the weekend, and it still had a leak on a compressor seal, because the seal of that compressor was one where when it was under vacuum it was sealed, but you put it under pressure and that seal would roll a little bit and then pressure would leak out. It would only leak under pressure. So it doesn't matter if you have one of these micron gauges or not. For leak testing, it makes no difference. All the stuff we used to do leak testing wise for decay testing still applies. This tool is no better, but this is a great tool for how much moisture is left in the system. It's very possible that this machine and this vacuum pump is just not going to pull any lower than where we are right now. We'll give it a few more minutes. All right, guys. So we're down to 520. I like that number. What I want to do right now is isolate the valves over here. So I'm going to close the vacuum pump off. We still have 3 minutes left of the cycle. That doesn't matter. Now I'm not vacuuming on the system anymore. I'm doing a decay test using my gauge up here. See, we're holding at 520. Biggest thing about this, the fact that it's not increasing, number one, tells us we don't have any leaks, at least preliminarily, right? Our O-rings should be fine that we put in. That dropped to 510, which is cool. The other thing this tells me is there's no moisture left in this system. If there was moisture left, you pull this down low and then you turn the vacuum pump off. If that number rapidly climbs, well, it's one of two things. You have a leak or you still have moisture in the system, and this tells me we don't have moisture. That's the biggest thing here, which is nice about that gauge. You see we're down to 500 now. Unit-wise, that's 29.9. And micron-wise, that's 500. And again, there's 25,400 microns in 1 inch of vacuum. 1 inch, 25,400. So it's such a small number. And let me turn this off so you guys don't hear this anymore. Just to prove that we're not still pulling vacuum on this system. That's great. This is ready to charge. I'm gonna continue this evac. I'm gonna take this off of here, unwinding this. I'm down to 480 now, by the way, but I'm taking this off of here, not knowing my brother's tool and machine and which side that it blows in on. I'm gonna connect this back up on the low side. Okay, machine's back up. Tool is not being used, and the machine itself will go through its own decay test. So just looking at that gauge right there. All right, now how do I do it? Don't lean on the machine, I know that.
I just leaned on it.
We open there, and then we go, we'll close those to start with. Charge 106, open, enter, continue, charge.
Oh.
That's pretty good memory from 1996. I used to, from 93 to 96, for those of you that don't know, this was a brand new building, and they hired me first out of tech school in 93, and then in 94, a year later, I worked here by myself with 2 owners, and in 94, I got my brother his job here. He worked at a local BP station, and then my brother and I worked together for a couple years before I moved on, and then he's been here ever since, and this was the machine that was used way back then. All right, we're ready to go. It's charged, it's complete. What we'll do, that's the CPL. What we'll do now is look at these 2 gauges. Okay, I'm gonna close them off. We're still access to the gauges even though we're closed. When we close these, we just close the valves to the tank, right? We have oil in the system. We moved the compressor. We rotated the compressor. We should be good to go. I'll start it, turn the air on, we'll watch the gauges, okay? We should have low side should drop, high side should rise, and then we'll leak check it. Fire in the hole. Gotta figure out how to turn the air on. Compressor sounds good. I like our numbers. This looks beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. About 30 PSI on the low. Almost 200 on the high. That's good, I like those. Let's check temperatures inside. I haven't calibrated this since last time I used it, which to calibrate a thermometer, you put it in ice water, mix it up, set it to 32. So this could be off, but what we want to see ideally is around 40 degrees of discharge temperature. What's my number? Where are we at? There's going to be, what do they call it? I learned from my buddy who's doing my engine, I think he calls it parallax. The angle at which you're looking at a gauge.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, so what looks like 50 to you could actually be 46 or it could be 54. You know, just, I think that's the word. I might be using it wrong, but I got my buddy Jamsey, who's building my engine for my Power Wagon. He uses that word a lot. He'll be like, well, it might have a little parallax with the camera, because he uses dial indicators and stuff all the time. So we're gonna go with what he's saying. All right, let's put the windows up. It already was on recirculate, but with the windows up, we're using outside air, or windows down, we were using some outside air. We're using some recirculated air, and I'm gonna raise my RPM just a little bit. I'm gonna go to like 1,000 or so, 1,500, and then we're gonna watch that number. And my truck is certainly cooler. I know when I'm going down the road, you know, you got better airflow across the condenser. I am at like about 1,700 RPM right there. What's that number? It's about 40. Yeah, let's go. That's a fix as far as the function of the AC system goes. Let's shut it off now, and then let's go and use a electronic sniffer on those components, put the cover back on, and be done, good to go. You guys have seen me take gauges off whenever I'm not on a recovery machine. On a recovery machine, it doesn't matter, because any leftover refrigerant in the lines will just recover back into the unit. So I'm just popping these off. The procedure I use for manifold gauges is I will close the high and then open the valves and pull all of the high side pressure out and into the low. And then when I'm done, I only have about 30 pounds of pressure on both gauges. That's how I do it. For this, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Taking these off, put our caps on. Before we put the caps on, we want to check these service ports for leaks. You can just use a little bit of soapy water is fine. That's honestly my preference, because there'll probably be a little residual using this tool. I've not used this tool before. Why I don't like electronic leak detectors, because there's just residual pressure right here. I prefer soap and water here. I think it's just picking up what's left over. Got any water left in here, Caleb? Ah, it's leaking. See it? That sucks. I think the high side one was okay. The reason I did that is I just didn't trust the tool, and I am trusting the tool a little bit more now. It is leaking. All right, let's see if I fixed it. I got a slight turn on that. Sweet. All right, awesome. So good lesson on Schrader valves, right? Tighten that up. No more bubbles. Unfortunately, when I tested the tool, I blew on it and it worked, and then I set it down, and while we were checking for the water bubbles, it started going off, and now it won't stop. So in other words, what I'm telling you guys is I can't use the tool. Can't use it. Our final checks that you want to do in this scenario, we did our water checks here. We can, we can stay with soap and water. We can do that. Okay. I wanted to go underneath and then show you guys the areas where we were, that there are no leaks using a leak detector. I can't do that. I can't do that, unfortunately. So I was gonna say, hey, this is my buddy's car. If we have any issues, we have dye in here. It would only be the compressor itself. There were no leaks in this system when the car came in. And so that would be kind of, warranty type stuff. I don't like that as far as a final for you guys, and I was gonna just end it at that. not realizing it's hot enough today. Our rest pressure is about 100 PSI, which is plenty to do some soap and water checks underneath on the compressor, and then we'll be done. So that's what we're gonna do. The old soap and water. So that O-ring right there, this O-ring right here, and then just the compressor housing itself. I don't trust any parts these days. Again, if I had my nitrogen tank, we could blow nitrogen in this, you know, put 150, 200 PSI in the system and then just watch for a decay. And then we wouldn't have to do any of this. But just to be thorough, you never want to guess. You saw we found a leaking Schrader valve that I was able to snug up. That was a really important last check. Maybe should have been a first check when we took the caps off. You know, the order in which you do things, everybody's a little bit different. Just got to make sure it gets done. This looks great. I'm putting the cover on. So I hope you guys like this one. A little bit different from what we normally do. But we were able to help out a friend and show you guys a little bit of air conditioning work along the way. Last thing, again, that I'm doing, I'm gonna put this cover on and we'll just wrap it up here. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.